So hello, welcome to the stream, welcome to the videos. We're going to be playing a little bit of New Order as Ireland today. We're not going to be recording for too long, probably maybe an hour and a half, probably do like 6 videos, give or take. But it's been a long time since we've played the New Order. I know they've had a lot of updates in the game since. Like they completely revamped the economy. When I last played New Order, none of this was even in the game. We'll have to kind of look at this afterwards. But here we are, the Republic of Ireland, the Emerald Isle. For the first time in a very long time, Ireland is free. Subjugated under the heel of the English tutors in 1603 for generations, all that men and women of Ireland ever knew were that they were second-class citizens in the nation they lived in. Kings and queens came and went, but one thing was only constant is the winding avenues of the history of the British Isles with London's complete domination. All this changed on one fateful day in 1919. The British Empire had been brought to its breaking limit by the carnage of the First World War. Entire generations, including thousands of Irish volunteers, were fed to the meat grinder. In 1916, the Irish Republican Brotherhood launched a 6-day blitz in Dublin against the Empire, declaring a new Irish Republic. While the Easter Rising was suppressed by the British Army, what it couldn't do was break the spirit of the Irish people. In 1921, revolutionary fervor once again reached new heights. Under the guidance of Revamped the Valera, by the way, I'm going to butcher a ton of Irish names, and I apologize for that at the beginning here. In military guidance of Michael Collins, Ireland was once again tried her hand at obtaining independence from England. Enfeebled by the First World War, Britain failed to contain the growing guerrilla war that raged on. Locked in stalemate, Britain acquiesced and granted them their sovereignty, in what would become the first in a series of flashpoints. Northern Ireland continued to fly the Union Jack as a constituent of Britain. This fact, and the oath of allegiance to the crown that Ireland was forced to swear, became the catalyst for the Irish Civil War. The anti-treaty forces, led by De Vera, faced off against a pro-treaty Collins. Where the Irish people's guns were once united, now they were turned against each other, with every act of barbarity committed by both sides. Though both Collins' cutting and the National Army's superior armament of members, the anti-treaty IRA were beaten back until on the 24th of May, an armistice was called. Both Michael Collins and Liam Litch, the chief of staff of the IRA, were dead, killed in pitched gunfights, where their killers could not be identified or know what they had done. Peace returned to the Emerald Isle, yet it would not stay for long. Failing to convince the ruling Sinn Féin to abandon the oath of allegiance to the British monarchy, De Vera formed the Fianna Fáil, ascended from the Taoiseach of 1937. De Vera and Ireland as a whole found themselves as a member of Europe that was dousing themselves in gasoline. For De Vera, the question was not if war broke out, but who to align with when it did. When the Nazi blitzkrieg overran nearly all of free Europe, the answer was clear. De Vera, with explicit German backing, initiated a lightning campaign against Northern Ireland, the subject that was once brought the Republic to its knees during the 1920s. What resulted was a grinding clash where anyone was a viable target and everyone was suspected of being a traitor to either the Crown or the Gael. However, with the collapse of Britain, resistance to Dublin fell. Not only overseas, where Ireland's commitment to the Einspach was brought an uncomfortable truce forward to Irish society, FF's traditional rivals, Fine Gael and Sinn Féin, were crushed under De Vera's creeping authoritarianism, with Sinn Féin being reduced to obscurity between its fierce firebrands. What defines Ireland now is the factions that make up the FF. Pulling victory from the jaws of defeat in the 1961 elections, FF must decide how it will guide Ireland into this uncertain new decade. We're not streaming until 5 a.m. No, because there's a lot of reading in the New Order, and there's no way I can do this for that many hours. Like, maybe after we're done the New Order, we'll do some Advanced Wars, but we'll kind of see how that goes. But I do have to start a timer here, so it does mean the first episode is going to be a little bit longer, but that is okay, I'm sure. Is Shine Fine possible? I honestly have no idea. I have no idea what routes are actually available to Ireland. we're just going to kind of go with it. So we are currently starting off with 21 grid power. We have 5 production units. We have a little bit of fuel, a little bit of manpower, 46% stability, 63% war support. I'm sure that's all fine. Ireland got an update. I mean, they have a focus tree, so the answer is maybe. We're not going to be reading all of these events, but I will definitely be showing them off. If you want to pause the video, you can read through this on your own time. So what are we going to take for our research slots? Well, research is actually like really interesting in the New Order, because like I've said, most of the time you're not really going to be going to war. So a lot of the focuses that you can take don't really matter oh so much. Because, I mean, who are we going to be going to war with? There really isn't anybody. But maybe we'll Ireland, I think, could very easily split into civil war. We'll just have to kind of wait and see. We got the North Irish Constabulary, we got the paramilitaries. The INC's opinion of us is cordial. And they are a little bit corrupt. Suppressed efficiency is at 4.9. And they have no investigations going on right now. We'll take our Army and Navy experience. And what about the paramilitaries? Ireland has had a tumultuous history, one that has spawned many paramilitary and terrorist groups. The main three groups are the Ulster Volunteer Force, the Irish Republican Army, and the Irish Citizen Guard. The Ulster Volunteer Force is a pro-British, pro-Unionist, and anti-Republican organization, which is primary paramilitary for those who resist Irish occupation in Northern Ireland. The Irish Republican Army is a radical leftist group whose main aim is to combat fascist and German influence in the country. The Irish Citizen Guard is a relatively new offshoot of the IRA, however its age has not stopped it from becoming one of the most violent and active groups in the country. So the IRA is very strong, the UVF is powerful, and the ICG is middling. Apparently we got a ceasefire with the UVF and the IRA. However, the ICG is kind of just doing whatever the hell they want right now. So you gotta kind of make sure everyone is happy with us, otherwise I'm sure bad things are going to come of this. But let us, you know, basically begin here. Again, we do start with a member of the German faction. We'll kind of see how long that lasts. Drunk live stream. I don't know if I would ever do a drunk live stream, to be quite honest with you. Also, let's turn off Fog of War, please. Paternal autocracy. Shannon Maas found a lack of official residence for the Taoiseach be one of the most irritating quirks epidemic to Irish politics. While even the Bulgarian monarch, his only independent counterpart at the Taoiseach meeting, could boast of a palace, he was stuck in his Dublin apartment. There was at least one advantage to the housing situation. His son Noel, the poor bugger, actually lived in the building and carried out much of the same tasks as our boards' servants. Whereas Lamesh came home, he could find his dinner served and plates clean. Today, the meal wouldn't be just for him, but for Charles Highway too. While Lamesh hoped that the night's discussion would not stray far from Noel's soup, he had defeated his own expectations by veering into the northern county situation while explaining the difference between the stews in both parts of the country. Blene, Lemes's English, had acquired a brewery accent. If not for him and his, what do you call them? Brent boys? Yes. Another sip of beer graced the Taoiseach's throat. Everything would have been fine after 61, but he had to insist on that fucking cabinet post. The Liberals too, you know. They help ruin everything as well. The mass accusatory finger pointed vaguely in the direction of his son. Well, don't ever forget. Giving into your enemies is a mistake. I allowed those pain-in-the-ass cosmopolitans, Lich and Korish, to cook up a deal with the Liberals, and look where it's got me. Now I have to bend over backwards every time I want to pass a goddamn bill. Hadway was in a process of interjecting with the discovery remark about the state of Fangel, but he didn't get far before Lemes started up again. You know, Charles, you're like a son to me. Apart from this boy here, you're the only man I can trust. I rely on you to save this party. No, this country. While his 34-year-old son had been muttering protests against his description as a boy, Charles Hadway quietly cringed. If the old man knew what really was going on, or maybe he did. So what do we got next? We can either go for the Northern 3 or the Archbishop of Dublin. We cannot take you. We have completed the focus, still one party, which is going to be... So we need to take one of you two first. We've gained the support of 4 national TDs, and our cooperation will increase with the nationalists, but will reduce with other coalition factions, or we will gain the support of a Labour TD, a Liberal TD, and a Moderate TD, and our cooperation will be increasing with those 3 factions, but will be reduced with the nationalist. We will slightly decrease gender rights. Let's go with 4 nationalist TDs. Is there, managed subject, occupied territories? Can I see what my government's kind of built up with? Occupied territory, managed subjects, multi-party system, immigration, regular... There are so many things here. Incarceration. Can I, like, click on any of these? At least not yet. We have assorted laws as well. Okay. There's a ton of... Oh, actually, let's look at our national spirits while we're here. We got Humiliation of a Giant, negative 10% stability, negative 1 political power gain. So we're getting 0.32 per day, which is ass. Construction speed, production efficiency cap, the little Weimar, which is also just terrible. There will be bloodshed, which also is pretty bad. We literally have no good bonuses. Everything is bad in Ireland at the moment. But that's okay. We have doctrines available. Blue Water Navy or Green Water Navy. Well, let's go Green Water, because I'm assuming that Ireland probably doesn't have a great fleet. Naval Dockyard, Fuel Silo. Let's go with some... a prison. Law and Order. Let's build a prison in Dublin? Sure. I don't know what this actually does. Because school coverage acts as an additional effectiveness multiplier for the current education policy. Hospital coverage, office coverage, prison coverage, army base. There's a lot of shit in this. Who made this mod? There's so many things going on in it. Okay, let's make some trucks. We'll make some guns. What are we missing? We are missing a lot of stuff, but I only have 2 military factories, so I don't know what you want me to do with that. We have Irish investments as well. We got German funding. How much money do we have? Our GDP is currently 2.54 billion. We are growing at 0.07% annually, which I think is fucking terrible. Is it not? That sounds really bad. 50% investment approval. We have $15 million of funding available to us. So let's go with Dublin. Let's build ourselves a hospital in Dublin. The southern state, which I don't know. I guess you're Cork. Okay, so I can only build one thing at a time. Okay, fantastic. We're not going to request any funding. We get some money here from the Germans. Increases our industrial output by 1. I'm assuming that's what you are. We have 4 production units. Consumer goods, military factories, and civilian factories. Well, let's put some money into funding our expansion of industry. I think seems okay. I'm going to probably make a lot of mistakes here. Mostly because I don't know what's actually good in the new order. But there's just so many mechanics, which I'm very interested to kind of learn a little bit more. The end of the missile crisis. That's good. The Hawaii missile crisis, what I believe is between Japan and the United States. We're not all going to die. And I'm going to say that is a big thumbs up from me. The situation. A few blocks away from Leicester House, Jack Lynch and Frank Eichen sipped on a Fanta at the Oceanery Cafe. Christ, Jack, this German stuff tastes like shit. You know, I like Fanta. I don't know. Do people hate Fanta? The Irish do, apparently. So the much younger Lynch had a stronger stomach, but couldn't disagree with the old dogs opposite of him. The drink or the treaty? Atkin let out a laugh. Before raising his hand, the waitress had come with some bread. As she put it down on the table, Atkin's eyes widened with indignation. What the fuck is this? The young woman jumped back as Atkin explained the food. Regenbrot? What does this mean? Look at this crap. I can hit you over the head with this. It's like a goddamn brick. He turned towards the woman. Lady, can you bring us some decent bread? As the former cabinet minister screamed at her, the waitress tried to explain that there is no other type available, until Lynch intervened to calm Atkin down. While the girl managed to get away, Atkin didn't stop. Those Jerrys, they are everywhere, Jack. Even in the food. Why can't they leave us alone? Because the mass won't stand up to them. And anyone who does ends up in a jail cell. You think that after how many votes the Liberals got us in the last election, he'd lay off a bit. But since last year, he's yelled 800 more. For fuck's sake, this man will drive Fianna Fáil into ruin. Him and his buddy in need. Frank's euphemism for Neil Blaney got a hearty laugh at a Lynch. I mean, it's incredible, Jack. Lemass puts the trade unions in prisons and damn near Sheik Hiles whenever Hitler dumps all this crap into the economy. But those stupid bastards of the Labour Party keep propping up the government. We can't get rid of him either. Not when the Liberals keep saying they'll only support the coalition if he's still there. The world is a mess. And we need to do something about it, Frank. Lynch sighed. If something was going to lead liberalism back to the forefront, it was him. Frank was too old. Perhaps Fianna Fáil was too old of a vehicle to do so as well. I gotta get a new chair, or I gotta fix my chair. It keeps sinking lower and lower. Maybe because I keep rotating. I don't know. It's a little bit messy. I think I gotta like tighten some screws at the very bottom of this. Your average day in the special zone. Well, you picked the right place, Dorothy. This force needs an honest cop like you. You could have chosen to stay in Dublin, have an easy career, but you weren't interested. You came here to fight the good fight, solve cases, right wrongs. Very well then. But Ulster isn't pretty. It's no sitting on a fence, you have to choose sides. Take a brown paper envelope to look over all the corrupt filth that goes on in Blanky's backyard, or look behind your back every 5 minutes in fear of a prot or a provost trying to murder you. I don't know what any of those words means. Inspector Amen Doherty pondered on the words which the chief superintendent of the Garda Northern Counties Department had left him with 2 months earlier. Truth be told, he transferred to Battlefast for a pay raise. His daughter was getting married soon, and paying for a wedding wasn't cheap. Perhaps he thought there was an element of careerism into it as well. Yes, success in cases here would make him friends back in Dublin. There's nothing wrong with that. Whatever his motivations, Doherty had come to the conclusion they weren't worth it. The county which Doherty was once helped unify as volunteer during the war were a mess. The North Irish constabularies, themselves supposedly part of the Guardia, were unreliable as hell, and each day came back on a new terrorist attack for some deranged faction or the other. Today was no exception either. Dawn had barely broken with his presence when requested by another radio, another car bombing. Parking his German-made patrol car alongside a much older models of the North Irish Constabulary, Doherty got out of the Yarmer and headed to see the crisp remains of a Morris Oxford, cordoned off by a dozen policemen. Who was it? The inspector glanced at the NIC patrolman close to the vehicle. Rory Old Brickrat, an IRA big shot. By the scorn of his voice, Doherty could tell the man was a Protestant. Where do you want to start? There's a few witnesses to talk to, but you could also take a look at the car registration first by trying to search for something meaningful in the rubble. Well, let's go check the remains. I don't know how to deal with this chair, to be honest. You know what, between episodes, I'm going to try to tighten the bolt at the very bottom of it. That usually fixes it, at least for a little bit. Inspecting the remains. Emmett Daughtry stepped around the bombed-out hull of the car. It was covered in a black suit and the doors had been blown off. He tried to find anything that would tell him why it was done. However, all he saw were destroyed seats and a steering wheel stuck in a tree. It was the work of terrorists. He could tell that the bottom of the car had been blown up. Across the road, a few officers had been in the process of trying to clean off and decipher the license plate. Car bomb, he muttered to himself as he walked around. Something kept nagging him in the back of his head. He knew the IRA was basically gone, and the Ulster Right groups weren't that bold to bomb a car in broad daylight. However, if it was the Ulster-Rights, it made sense. They didn't know who the poor sap was. Didn't matter now anyways. They had a job to do. He knew it was going to be hard to find something with evidence. So far, he'd only found half of a shoe, with the other half being destroyed. As Edmund did another lap around the car, something caught his eye. On the ground, reflecting off the sun, was a pair of glasses. Edmund stopped in his tracks and put gloves on, picking up the glasses and putting them in a small bag. As he walked back to the car, he noticed the witnesses being asked questions by police officers. They'd been assembled a little way down the road. As he got into his car, he gave himself a dilemma. He could either phone the station and try to find a connection to the car using the license plate. It was an older model, but it should still check out. Emmett could also help with the interrogation. However, he could be seen as unwanted due to his presence. Either way, he was going to find out why the bombing had occurred. Let us go and ring up the station. We'll see if there's any information about what vehicle got blown up. The Vanquished. James Dillian sat at his desk filling out paperwork. It was always the same for him. Being the last one inside the Fellgale headquarters, his desk was surrounded by photos of him and many of his fellow members of the FG. He smiled before remembering the truth of the party. They hadn't won an election in 22 years, longer than how some of their party members had been alive for. He sighed and rubbed his temple. 22 long years of paying second fiddle to Fine Gael and the rest of Ireland. He looked at his watch. It was 11:30. James packed up his things into the briefcase, shutting off the lights and making his way to the main lobby. To his surprise, Liam Cosgrove and Joan Costello had pulled some chairs out and been in the middle of a conversation before they saw James and waved them over. The men had been discussing mostly personal things, such as their families. The point that Fiel came up, and most of the current issues with liberals. As Liam and Costello talked, James listened. One of the two men had finished, James spoke. Well, to be fair, I agree with both of you. Our time is coming. However, this is not the time to discuss this. Anyway, do you lot want to go up to the pub? Asked James. The two men nodded and walked out of the headquarters. On the way out, James thought to himself he was going to retire soon, and Cosgrove seemed to be next in line. He could do so much more for Ireland than I, believed James. But I think with that, it's going to be a good time for us to end off this episode for now. So if you enjoyed, thumbs up. Not doing, thumbs down. You want to see more, subscribe, and goodbye.